Ji-woo Kim sat at her small desk, staring out the window of her dorm room. Rain tapped against the glass. The lights of Seoul glowed in the distance. It was almost midnight, but she could not sleep. Her philosophy paper was due tomorrow, and she was still thinking about the best way to end it. Her room was simple: a bed, a desk, and walls covered with quotes from great thinkers. At 19, Ji-woo was the youngest student in her advanced philosophy program. She was known for asking questions that made even her professors pause and think. The soft blue glow of her quantum communicator suddenly lit up the dim room. Ji-woo frowned. Nobody called this late. Nobody except her parents, who were visiting her grandmother in Busan. She tapped the accept button. Instead of her mother's face, a strange symbol appeared. A spiral of stars that she recognized as the official mark of the Galactic Confederation. "Hello," Ji-woo said, her heart beating faster. The screen shifted, revealing a tall, blue-skinned alien with large, silver eyes. Ji-woo recognized the species, a Mel diplomat. Humans had only known about aliens for 5 years, since first contact, but everyone knew what the Meld looked like. "Greetings, Ji-woo Kim of Earth," the alien said in perfect Korean. "I am Ambassador Han from the Galactic Education Council." Ji-woo sat up straight. "How can I help you, Ambassador?" "It is I who bring an opportunity to you." The alien's face did not show emotion like a human's, but its voice sounded pleased. "You have been selected to represent humanity at the Interstellar Debate Championship." Ji-woo blinked. "There must be a mistake. I'm just a student." "There is no mistake. We have studied your work on paradoxes and moral reasoning. Your paper on the limits of pure logic in ethical decision-making was most unusual." Ji-woo remembered that paper. Her professor had given her a high mark, but warned that her arguments were too emotionally influenced for serious philosophy. It seemed the aliens thought differently. "The championship happens once every 50 Earth years," Ambassador Han continued. "It is the most prestigious intellectual competition in the galaxy. The winners are celebrated across 27 star systems. And you want me to join?" Ji-woo asked, still confused. "Yes, humanity has never participated before. This will be historic." Ji-woo thought for a moment. Who else will be competing? The champions of 17 species. The Orcs have won for the past 20 competitions, a perfect 1,000-year streak. Their minds work like quantum computers, processing pure logic at incredible speeds. Ji-woo had read about the Orcs, silicon-based life forms who believed emotion was a primitive evolutionary mistake. They saw humans as interesting but underdeveloped. Why pick me? Why not a professor or a professional debater? The alien's head tilted slightly. The Orcs and others excel at traditional logic. Their arguments are mathematically perfect. But they struggle with your human approach. Your species thinks in ways that are unpredictable, sometimes illogical, yet effective. You, Ji-woo Kim, demonstrate this quality most strongly. Ji-woo looked at her unfinished paper, then back at the screen. "When would this competition happen?" "You would leave Earth in 3 days. The journey to Nexus Station takes 1 Earth week. The competition lasts 14 Earth days." 3 days? Ji-woo's eyes widened. "That's very soon." "Indeed. There is much to prepare. Professor Taeho Park from your university has already agreed to be your mentor for the journey. A diplomatic liaison named Sung Min Lee will also accompany you." Ji-woo took a deep breath. This was crazy. She was just a student from Seoul. How could she represent all of humanity in a debate against the smartest aliens in the galaxy? But something inside her sparked with excitement. This was a chance to show what humans could do, how they could think differently than the most logical beings in the universe. "I accept," she said, surprising herself with her confidence. Ambassador Han nodded. "Excellent. A transport will arrive for you in 3 days. We look forward to seeing what humanity brings to the championship." The screen went dark, leaving Ji-woo alone with her thoughts, and the distant lights of Seoul. 3 days passed in a blur. Ji-woo hardly slept. She packed and unpacked her small bag many times. What do you bring to an alien debate tournament? In the end, she took only clothes, her tablet, and 5 paper books, old philosophy texts she loved. The morning of departure, Ji-woo hugged her parents goodbye at the Seoul spaceport. Her mother cried. Her father stood tall, but his voice shook. "Make us proud," he said. "I will try," Ji-woo promised, though her stomach felt tight with fear. Professor Park met her at the gate. He was a short man with gray hair and kind eyes behind round glasses. Next to him stood Sung-min, the diplomatic liaison. Sung-min wore a crisp blue uniform with the Earth Alliance patch. His face was serious. "Ready to make history?" Sung-min asked. Ji-woo nodded, not trusting her words. The ship was not what Ji-woo expected. It was small and sleek, with smooth curves and walls that glowed with soft light. There were no windows. Instead, screens showed the view outside. The Galactic Confederation sent their own transport. Professor Park explained as they settled into seats that shaped themselves to fit their bodies. This ship travels faster than anything humans have built. When they left Earth's atmosphere, there was no shake or roar. The blue sky simply faded to black. Then stars filled the screens. Ji-woo felt a brief pressure, like being in a fast elevator. And then it passed. "We are now traveling at 50 times the speed of light," said a calm voice from the walls. "We will reach Nexus Station in 7 Earth days." During those 7 days, Ji-woo and Professor Park worked hard. They studied the rules of the Interstellar Debate Championship. They were strange and formal, with many parts that confused Ji-woo. In alien debates, you cannot use emotion to persuade, Professor Park said. You must use only logic. But humans use emotion in debates all the time, Ji-woo said. It's part of how we think. Exactly. That is why no one expects us to do well. Professor Park smiled. But perhaps that gives us an advantage they do not see. Some men joined their study sessions. He showed Ji-woo recordings of past tournaments. The alien debaters spoke in perfect, measured tones. They used mathematical formulas and complex diagrams. There was no passion, no stories, no examples from life. They looked like computers talking to each other, Ji-woo said. That is how the Orcs think we should all be, some men replied. They believe emotion is a flaw. At night, when the others slept, Ji-woo watched Earth grow smaller on the screens. She felt the weight of what she was doing. One teenage girl, representing all humans, in a contest where all the rules favored the aliens. On the 6th day, Professor Park found Ji-woo staring at a recording of Dorak, the Orc champion. The alien was tall and gray, with a smooth head and 4 long fingers on each hand. Its voice was like soft metal. They have won every tournament for 1,000 years, Ji-woo said quietly. Yes, but they have never faced a human before. Professor Park sat beside her. The Orcs know only one way to think. We humans have many ways. What if I fail? You will not fail. The professor's voice was firm. Even if you do not win, you will show them something new. That is already a victory. On the 7th day, the ship slowed. The screens filled with light. Ji-woo gasped. Nexus Station looked like a giant silver flower floating in space. Its petals were massive habitats, each one large enough to hold a city. Ships of all shapes and sizes moved around it like bees. We are approaching Nexus Station, the ship's voice announced. Home of the 17th Interstellar Debate Championship. Ji-woo took a deep breath and straightened her shoulders. She was ready to face the galaxy's greatest minds. Ji-woo had never seen so many different aliens in one place. Nexus Station buzzed with life forms from across the galaxy. Some floated like bubbles. Others moved on many legs. Some looked almost human, except for their colors or extra limbs. A small robot met them at the dock. It hovered at eye level, its round body glowing blue. Welcome to Nexus Station, it said in perfect Korean. I am Guide 7. I will show you to your rooms." They followed the robot through wide hallways. The walls were white and curved. The air smelled clean, like nothing Jiwoo had ever smelled before. Other beings passed them, some turning to look at the humans with interest. "They are staring at us," Jiwoo whispered to Professor Park. "Humans are still new to the galactic community," he replied. "Many have never seen one of us before." Their rooms were small but comfortable. Jiwoo had her own space with a bed that adjusted to her body and a window looking out into space. After settling in, Guide 7 led them to the main hall where the opening ceremony would be held. The hall was enormous, with a high ceiling that showed the stars above through clear panels. Hundreds of beings sat in curved rows facing a central stage. Jiwoo, Professor Park, and some men found seats marked with the Earth symbol. "Those are the Orcs," some men said quietly, pointing to a group of tall, gray beings with smooth skin and large, dark eyes. "And their champion, Durak, is the one in the center." Jiwoo studied Durak. The Lorik sat perfectly still, back straight, hands resting on its knees. It showed no signs of nervousness or excitement. Near the Loriks sat creatures that looked like large birds with bright feathers and sharp beaks. "The Avarians," Professor Park explained. "They pride themselves on quick thinking." In another section, glowing jellyfish-like beings floated above special water tanks. "The Meld Collective," some men said. "They share a group mind, very difficult to debate because they think as one." A soft chime rang through the hall, and everyone grew quiet. A tall blue alien, like the one Jiwoo had spoken to on her quantum communicator, stepped onto the stage. "Welcome to the 17th Interstellar Debate Championship," the blue alien said. "I am High Judge Han. Today we welcome 17 species, including a new participant, humanity." All eyes turned to Jiwoo and her companions. She felt her face grow warm. "The rules remain the same," High Judge Han continued. "All arguments must follow strict logical form. Emotional appeals will result in point deductions. Each debate will be judged by our AI panel for logical consistency and validity." After the speech, there was time for competitors to meet. Jiwoo stood awkwardly at the edge of the room, watching the aliens talk to each other. "You are the human champion," a voice spoke behind her. Jiwoo turned to see Durak, the Lorik. Up close, its skin looked like polished stone, and its eyes were deep black pools. "I am Jiwoo Kim," she said, bowing slightly as some men had taught her. "I have studied your species. You rely heavily on emotional reasoning and storytelling." Durak's voice was flat. "Such methods do not work here. Maybe there's value in different ways of thinking," Jiwoo suggested. "There is one optimal way to process information," Durak replied. "The Loriks found it 1,000 years ago. That is why we always win. If the purpose of debate is to find truth, shouldn't we try many approaches?" Jiwoo asked. Durak's head tilted slightly. "The purpose of debate is not to find truth. It is to demonstrate superior reasoning." "Then what's the point?" Jiwoo frowned. "On Earth, we debate to persuade, to discover new ideas, or to test our understanding. Persuasion is manipulation. Discovery comes from pure logic. Testing is unnecessary when reasoning is perfect." Durak's voice remained even. "Perhaps humans are not ready for true logical discourse." Before Jiwoo could answer, a chime sounded again. "Competitors, please gather for the preliminary round assignments," High Judge Han called. As Durak walked away, an Avarian with golden feathers passed by. "Interesting exchange," it chirped. "We haven't heard new questions in centuries." Jiwoo took a deep breath. The tournament hadn't even started, and she already felt like she was from another world. Because she was. The next morning, Jiwoo sat in a small white room, her heart beating fast. This was her first debate. Her opponent would be an Avarian named Krila. The topic: the optimal distribution of resources. Professor Park gave her a last piece of advice. "Remember, they expect you to fail. Use that." Jaiwu nodded as the professor left. She was alone when the doors opened and Krila entered. The bird-like alien had golden feathers and sharp eyes. A floating platform followed, carrying a water tank with 3 jellyfish-like creatures inside. The judges, Krila explained, seeing Jaiwu's confusion. Meld observers. They connect to the AI system. A soft chime rang. The debate had begun. Krila went first. The Avarian spoke in a musical voice, laying out a perfect mathematical model. Resources should go to those who could use them most efficiently. The argument was flawless, built step by step like a tower of clear blocks. When Jaiwu's turn came, she felt lost. How could she match such perfect logic? I agree with much of what Krila has said, she began slowly. But I would like to add something. The Avarian watched her with curious eyes. Let me tell you about a museum on Earth, Jaiwu continued. It caught fire many years ago. Inside were 2 things, a room of priceless art and a room with 5 children on a school trip. The firefighters could only save 1 room. The meld judges pulsed with blue light. This was not the logical argument they expected. By pure efficiency, Jaiwu said, the art was worth more. It took thousands of hours to create and could never be replaced. The children would live only about 80 years and would consume many resources. Krila tilted her head. Then the logical choice is clear. But no human would choose the art. Jaiwu said, we would save the children. Because value is not just about efficiency. It is also about what we believe matters. That is emotional reasoning, Krila replied. It has no place in optimal distribution. Is it emotional, or is it a different kind of logic? Jaiwu asked. If we save the art, but let the children die, we create a society where people mean less than things. That society would fail, even if it were efficient. Jaiwu could see Krila was troubled. The Avarian had not expected this approach. Your example is a special case, Krila argued. It does not apply to normal resource distribution. But it shows that your model is incomplete, Jaiwu replied. A truly optimal system must include cultural and social values, not just efficiency. Otherwise, it will eventually break down. For the rest of the debate, they went back and forth. Krila tried to bring the discussion back to pure mathematics. Jaiwu kept finding holes in the model, places where real life did not fit the clean equations. When it ended, Jaiwu had no idea if she had won or lost. The meld judges floated in their tank, lights flashing as they processed the debate. After what felt like forever, one of the meld judges glowed bright white. The winner is Jaiwu Kim of Earth, a computerized voice announced. Decision, 3-2. Jaiwu could hardly believe it. She had won by just 1 vote. In the waiting area, Professor Park smiled widely. Excellent work. I barely won, Jaiwu said. And I didn't use their kind of logic at all. Exactly, the professor said. You showed them something new, something they had to think about differently. As they talked, Jaiwu noticed other aliens watching her. Some looked confused. Others seemed interested. A group of young Orcs were reviewing a recording of her debate, their faces puzzled. Some men rushed into the room. You've caused quite a stir. The Galactic News Network is calling it the human surprise. No one expected you to get past the first round. Jaiwu smiled, but inside she felt nervous. She had 3 more preliminary debates to go. And if she made it through those, she would face even tougher opponents. One step at a time, she told herself, watching as Durak, the Loric champion, entered the room. The alien's dark eyes found hers across the crowd. For just a moment, Jaiwu thought she saw something new there. Was it worry? Jaiwu won her next 2 debates. Not easily, but she won. Each time, she used what Professor Park began to call her human approach. She turned perfect alien logic on its head by finding the places where it didn't match real life. After her 4th victory, putting her through to the next round, Professor Park took her to a quiet corner of Nexus Station. They found a small room that looked out at the stars. "You've done what no one thought possible," he said, his eyes bright with pride. "You're in the quarterfinals." "But I still don't understand why I'm winning," Ji-woo said. "My arguments aren't as logical as theirs." "That's exactly why." The professor smiled. "Look at how the aliens debate. They build perfect logic chains, but only inside the boxes they know." Ji-woo thought about this. They don't step outside their starting points. Yes, they excel at moving from A to B to C, but humans ask why not start at D? Or what if A isn't always true? Professor Park sat down next to her. The judges, even the AI ones, must consider valid challenges to assumptions. That night, Ji-woo couldn't sleep. She went to the station's library, a vast room where data from across the galaxy could be accessed. She found information about all the remaining competitors. A soft voice interrupted her studies. "Humans are strange." Ji-woo turned to see a small meld floating in a personal water bubble. Unlike the judges, this one was green and seemed younger. "I'm Ji-woo," she said. "I am Plex 7, the meld replied. "Your debates have created much discussion among my people." "Good discussion, I hope." "Interesting discussion. You use stories and examples that seem illogical, yet they contain truth." The meld's tentacles moved in gentle patterns. "How do you decide when to use logic and when to use the other way?" Ji-woo thought carefully. "We don't separate them as much as you do. Human thinking mixes logic, emotion, stories, and experience." "Isn't that confusing?" "Sometimes," Ji-woo laughed. "But it helps us see new connections. When one approach doesn't work, we try another." In her quarterfinal debate, Ji-woo faced a meld collective, 5 connected minds working as one. The topic was truth in communication. The meld argued that precise, literal language was the only way to ensure truth. Ji-woo responded with metaphors and poetry, showing how these could reveal deeper truths than literal language alone. The meld struggled to counter her examples of how the same words could mean different things in different contexts. "If I say the sky weeps, is that a lie?" Ji-woo asked. "Or does it tell you something true about both the rain and how it makes people feel?" The meld collective pulsed with confused lights. They had no framework for this way of thinking. When Ji-woo won that debate, the news spread quickly through Nexus Station. Beings from many species came to watch her next match. Some came out of curiosity, others to see the strange human way of thinking. In her room that night, Professor Park helped her prepare for the semifinals. "You'll face the Carillions tomorrow. 6-limbed beings with triple-lobed brains. They specialize in multi-track logic." "That sounds hard," Ji-woo said. "It is, but they still have blind spots." The professor showed her recordings of Carillion debates. "See how they always separate facts from values. They think values are just personal opinions. But values can be argued for with reasons," Ji-woo said. "Exactly." Professor Park smiled. "That's your way in." Later, Ji-woo found Sung Min looking worried in the hallway. "What's wrong?" she asked. "The Orcs are studying you," he said. "They've been recording all your debates and analyzing them. Durak has assigned a team to find the pattern in your thinking." "Can they do that?" "It's allowed." "They're worried." Ji-woo. Sung Min's face was serious. "No one has challenged their way of thinking for centuries. You're showing there's another way to be smart, and they don't like it." Ji-woo looked down the curved hallway. In 2 days, she would face the Carillions. If she won that match, she might face Durak in the final. A human girl against the champion of the most logical species in the galaxy. "Let them study," she said. "They won't find a pattern because humans don't always follow patterns. That's our strength." The semifinal hall was much larger than the earlier debate rooms. Hundreds of beings from across the galaxy filled the seats. Ji-woo's hands shook as she entered. She had never spoken in front of so many people or aliens. Her opponent, the Carillion representative, was already there. It stood tall on 6 thin legs, with 3 arms on each side of its body. Its head was large, with 3 bulging parts that showed where its triple-lobed brain sat. "I am Zektor," the Xyrillian said. Its voice came from 3 different parts of its mouth, making a strange chorus. "I look forward to our exchange." Jiwu bowed slightly. "As do I." High Judge Han floated to the center of the stage. Today's debate topic is the nature of consciousness and rights. Jiwu's heart beat faster. This was a big topic, one that touched on deep questions about who deserved respect and protection in the galaxy. Zektor went first. The Xyrillian's 6 hands moved in perfect patterns as it spoke, drawing shapes in the air that appeared as glowing diagrams. "Rights must be based on measurable qualities," Zektor argued. "The capacity for consciousness depends on neural complexity, processing speed, and information integration." The Xyrillian showed complicated charts comparing brain structures across species. According to these measures, some beings, like the Orcs and Xyrillians, ranked very high. Others, including humans, scored in the middle. Some, like the plant-based Florians, scored very low. Therefore, Zektor concluded, rights should be granted in proportion to consciousness capacity. The most conscious beings deserve the most rights and consideration. The audience murmured. This was the kind of clear, logical argument they expected in the finals. When Jiwu's turn came, she took a deep breath. "I'd like to start with a thought experiment," she said. "Imagine a machine that could give you perfect happiness. If you plugged into this machine, you would feel like you were living your best life. But none of it would be real." The Xyrillian's 6 eyes blinked in different patterns. This was not the response it had expected. "According to your consciousness measure," Jiwu continued, "this would be a good choice. The machine would create more positive brain states than real life. But most beings would refuse the machine. Why? Because we value real experiences, not just positive ones." Jiwu walked slowly across the stage, looking at the audience. "This shows something your model misses. Consciousness isn't just about processing power. It's about having real experiences, what philosophers on Earth call qualia. A simple creature with one true experience might have something no computer can match." Zektor tilted its large head. "But experience quality cannot be measured. Only neural complexity can be measured. Just because we can't measure something doesn't mean it isn't real or important," Jiwu replied. "We can't measure love or beauty exactly, but they matter to many species." Jiwu then turned to her strongest point. "But even if we accept your measures, there's a problem. Your own culture contradicts your argument." The audience grew very quiet. Xyrillian younglings have simple brains, much less complex than adult Xyrillians. Yet your laws give them special protections, more than adults get. Why? Because potential matters, not just current capacity. Zektor's 6 legs shifted uncomfortably. "The same is true for your elders with brain disease. They lose neural complexity but gain greater rights and care." Jiwu's voice grew stronger. "Your own society shows that rights come from more than just brain power." For the rest of the debate, Zektor tried to defend its position. But each time, Jiwu showed how the Xyrillian's own values didn't match its logical framework. When it ended, the judges took longer than ever before. The main judge's tank glowed with rapidly changing colors as they processed the debate. Finally, High Judge Han announced, "After careful consideration, the winner is Jiwu Kim of Earth." The hall erupted in sounds. Some aliens clicked or hummed in surprise. Others whistled their approval. A group of young Meld observers flashed bright colors of excitement. As Jiwu left the stage, she saw Durak watching from the side. The Loric champion had won the other semi-final match easily. Now they would face each other in the final debate. "Congratulations," Durak said, its voice flat. "Your methods are unexpected." Jiwu smiled. "Thank you. I look forward to our debate." "As do I," the Loric replied. Though I must warn you, I have been studying your techniques. They will not work on me. Jiwoo just kept smiling. She was going to the finals, where no human had ever been before, and she had one more day to prepare for the biggest challenge of her life. News of Jiwoo's success spread quickly through Nexus Station. In the halls, aliens turned to watch her pass. Some nodded with respect. Others whispered in their strange languages. "You've become famous," Sungmin told her over breakfast. "The first human to reach the finals. There are broadcasts about you on 50 worlds." Jiwoo pushed her food around her plate. "I don't feel ready to face Durak." Professor Park joined them, carrying his data tablet. "Some species are not happy with your success," he said. "The Lorics have filed a complaint." "What kind of complaint?" Jiwoo asked. "They say your debate style uses unfairly paradoxical methods and logic traps instead of pure reasoning." The professor's eyes twinkled. "In other words, they're scared." Jiwoo couldn't believe the Lorics, the champions for 1,000 years, could be scared of her. "What happens now?" "Nothing." The complaint was rejected. Sungmin smiled. "The rules don't say you have to debate like a Loric." After breakfast, Jiwoo spent hours studying recordings of Durak's previous debates. The Loric never showed emotion, never hesitated. Every argument flowed perfectly from premise to conclusion. "How can I find a crack in that?" Jiwoo asked Professor Park. "Don't look for cracks. Look for the foundation," he replied. "What basic beliefs does Durak never question? That's where you'll find your opening." That afternoon, Jiwoo noticed she was being followed. 3 young Lorics with silver devices were recording everything she said. They sat nearby when she ate. They watched when she talked to other competitors. "They're studying you," Professor Park said, "trying to find patterns in your thinking so Durak can predict your arguments." "Can they do that?" Jiwoo asked. "It's allowed, but it won't help them as much as they think." The professor smiled. "Human thinking isn't as predictable as Loric thinking." That night, Jiwoo couldn't sleep. She walked through the quiet halls of Nexus Station, looking at the stars through the large windows. The galaxy was so big, with so many different kinds of minds. Yet the Lorics believed there was only one right way to think. "Trouble sleeping." A voice bubbled nearby. Jiwoo turned to see a meld floating in a personal water bubble. It wasn't Plex 7, but an older, larger one with deep blue tentacles. "I'm Merkel, elder of the Meld Collective," it said. "May I join you?" "Of course," Jiwoo replied, surprised that such an important being would want to talk to her. "Many young beings are watching your progress with great interest," Merkel said. "For too long, the Lorics have taught that their way is the only path to wisdom. But they've won for 1,000 years, Jiwoo said. Their way must work well. Winning debates and finding wisdom are not always the same thing." The Meld's tentacles moved in gentle patterns. "The Loric's perfect logic has given us stable societies and advanced technology. But in recent centuries, progress has slowed. New ideas are rare." Jiwoo watched the stars as she thought about this. "On Earth, we value many types of thinking. Sometimes this leads to conflict, but also to creativity." "Exactly," bubbled Merkel. "Balance is needed. That is why many of us secretly hope you will succeed tomorrow." When Jiwoo returned to her room, she found Professor Park waiting with a worried face. "The topic for the final debate has been announced," he said. "The value of diversity in cognitive approaches." Jiwoo's eyes widened. "That's perfect for us." "Too perfect." The professor frowned. "The Lorics requested this topic. But why would they pick something that favors my arguments?" "Because Durak has prepared for it." Professor Park looked very serious. "This is a trap, Jiwoo. The Lorics have studied your previous debates. They've recorded your conversations. They believe they can predict how you'll argue this topic, and Durak will have the perfect counter-strategy." Jiwoo sat on her bed, suddenly feeling small. How could she outsmart a being with a silicon-based brain that could process information at quantum speeds? a champion with 1,000 years of winning tradition behind it. "What should I do?" she asked quietly. Professor Park put his hand on her shoulder. "Something they won't expect." The final debate hall was the largest space Jiwoo had ever seen. Thousands of beings filled the curved seats, rising high around the central stage. Lights floated in the air, casting a soft glow over everything. The ceiling was clear, showing the stars and nearby planets. Jiwoo felt very small as she walked to her place. Her legs felt weak. Her mouth was dry. But she kept her head high. Across the stage stood Durak. The Loric champion looked calm and perfect, like a statue made of smooth gray stone. Its large black eyes showed no emotion. High Judge Han floated to the center. "Welcome to the final debate of the Interstellar Championship," the blue alien announced. "Today, Durak of the Lorics faces Jiwoo Kim of Earth. The topic is the value of diversity in cognitive approaches." A hush fell over the crowd. Durak would speak first. The Loric stepped forward, its movements precise and graceful. "Distinguished judges, honored guests," it began. "Today we consider whether diverse cognitive methods have value." What happened next surprised Jiwoo. Durak began to speak about human thinking, about creativity, intuition, and emotion. The Loric described how these approaches had helped humans advance quickly despite their young civilization. "The human mind makes unexpected connections," Durak said. "It finds patterns where none seem to exist. It uses stories to understand complex ideas. These methods have value in early stages of development." Jiwoo felt confused. Durak was making her argument for her. But then the Loric's tone shifted. "However, these diverse approaches are merely steps on the path to optimal cognition. Evolution across the galaxy shows that all advanced species move toward logical precision." Durak displayed charts showing how different species had evolved similar thinking patterns over millions of years. The Lorics reached optimal cognitive structure first, but others follow the same path. Diversity of thought is merely a phase in development, not an end goal. The argument was brilliant. It seemed to respect human thinking while actually dismissing it as primitive. Durak had incorporated Jiwoo's own arguments from previous debates, only to show they were part of an immature stage of evolution. When Durak finished, many aliens nodded in agreement. Even Jiwoo felt the power of the logic. For a moment, she wondered if the Loric was right. Maybe human thinking was just a stepping stone to something better. Professor Park had warned her this would happen. Durak had studied her too well and prepared the perfect counter. It was Jiwoo's turn. She walked to the center of the stage, feeling the eyes of thousands of beings on her. She had planned to talk about the value of different perspectives, but now that seemed useless. Durak had already addressed that and turned it against her. Jiwoo took a deep breath. It was time for something they wouldn't expect. "I would like to tell you a story," she began. "Not about the future, but about the past." The Meld judges pulsed with surprise. This was not a logical opening. For thousands of years on Earth, humans fought over the best way to think. Sometimes with words, sometimes with weapons. Logical thinkers battled with religious believers. Artists argued with scientists. Each group believed their way was best. Jiwoo looked around the hall, making eye contact with beings of many species. "We wasted time fighting instead of learning from each other. But in our most successful moments, we combined different ways of thinking. Logic and creativity. Analysis and intuition. Science and art." Jiwoo pointed to the stars above. "Look at the speed of human progress. In just a few hundred years, we went from horse carts to space travel. Why? Not because we found one perfect way to think, but because we never stopped trying new ways." She turned to face Durak directly. "The Lorics have used the same cognitive approach for 1,000 years. You've won every debate tournament. But what new discoveries have you made? What art has moved you? When did you last have a truly new idea?" A murmur went through the crowd. This was not the respectful rebuttal they expected. This was a challenge. The silence in the great hall lasted only seconds, but to Ji-woo, it felt like forever. Then the room filled with a mix of sounds, clicks, hums, whispers in 100 alien languages. Durak stood very still. For the first time, the Loric champion seemed unsure. "You claim our way leads to stagnation," Durak finally responded. "Yet the Lorics have built the most advanced technology in the galaxy." "Yes, you have refined what was already known," Ji-woo agreed. "But when did you last discover something truly new? Your perfect logic works within known rules but struggles to imagine new ones." She turned to address the whole audience. "The most important problems don't come with clear rules. They need many kinds of thinking. That's why the greatest advances on Earth came from people who combined approaches, logical and creative, analytical and intuitive." Ji-woo spoke about Earth's history of discovery, how art inspired science, how stories helped people understand complex ideas, how even mistakes and illogical leaps sometimes led to breakthroughs. The greatest human minds didn't reject emotion for logic or logic for emotion. They used both, knowing each has value. As Ji-woo spoke, she noticed something strange. The younger aliens, Meld, Avarian, even some young Lorics, were leaning forward, their eyes or sensing organs fixed on her. They seemed hungry for her words. "There's a simple test of our different views," Ji-woo said. "If diverse thinking is just a phase that leads to one perfect method, why has the Loric approach remained unchanged for 1,000 years? Shouldn't it have evolved too? True progress needs change, not just refinement." When the debate ended, the judges took longer than ever before. The Meld in their tank pulsed with rapid colors. Minutes stretched into an hour. The audience waited, no one leaving their seats. Finally, High Judge Han floated to the center. After the most extended deliberation in championship history, the winner is... Ji-woo held her breath. Ji-woo Kim of Earth. The hall exploded with sound. Many aliens rose from their seats, making gestures of approval in their own ways. Some of the Lorics sat perfectly still, as if frozen in shock. Professor Park hugged Ji-woo, his eyes wet with tears. "You did it. You showed them all." In the days that followed, Ji-woo found herself speaking to groups across Nexus Station. Young aliens from many species wanted to hear about human philosophy and cognitive science. Some older aliens complained that she had won through emotional appeals, but many others defended her victory. The Galactic Education Council announced new debate categories that would include elements of human rhetorical traditions. Several alien universities invited human teachers to share their methods. A week after the tournament, Ji-woo was packing her things to return to Earth when someone knocked on her door. It was Durak. "May I enter?" the Loric asked, its voice softer than before. "Of course," Ji-woo said, surprised. "I have come to inform you that the Loric Education Board is making changes." Durak's perfect posture seemed slightly less rigid. "We are introducing new courses in our schools, controlled illogic and paradigm disruption." Ji-woo smiled. "On Earth, we call those creativity and critical thinking. Perhaps your words are better." Durak tilted its head. The young ones demanded. "They say we have been incomplete in our approach." "Change isn't easy," Ji-woo said, "but it brings growth." "Yes," the Loric agreed. "Our perfect logic did not predict the impact of your victory. This suggests our model was imperfect." The next day, Ji-woo, Professor Park, and Sung-min boarded the ship back to Earth. At the dock, aliens from a dozen species had gathered to say goodbye. Many held copies of human philosophical texts, translated into their languages. As the ship rose from Nexus Station, Ji-woo looked out at the stars. She had come to show what one human girl could do. She was returning having started something much bigger. Humans had joined the galactic conversation, and the galaxy would never think the same way again. "What will you do when we get home?" Professor Park asked. Ji-woo smiled. "First, I'll finish my philosophy paper. Then maybe I'll write a book about our adventure. About how a human girl destroyed alien logic. Sungmin suggested. No, Jiwoo said, watching the stars stretch into lines as the ship accelerated. About how different ways of thinking make us all stronger.